Today is June 3rd, Wednesday, and we thought we would do some filming in the early evening to take a look at our 10 happy hens roosting on their perch, which we have never done before. But before we do that, Dad is just beginning to assemble his newest invention. It's going to be a weeder aerator to facilitate the chickens, probably one or two at a time, that will weed our garden in between the rows. So similar to our portable PVC chicken coop, we have purchased 12 2-foot length pieces of 1 inch in diameter PVC with the joints, and Dad is going to be assembling that as I take a look around our garden, and he's going to be covering it again with the chicken wire and the electrical zip ties to affix the wire to the pipes. So we'll come back to Dad shortly. Meanwhile, in our garden area, we'll just take a look around. The raspberries that we planted here by the arch have done very well. They wintered over, and I think I mentioned earlier that we have transplanted quite a few of the blackberry and raspberry bushes in this large pot. This is a raspberry bush that we just dug up next to the mother plant there in the back along the ditch and transplanted it. It's now bearing quite a heavy load of fruit. And then over here around the patio area, our elderberry bushes are in blossom, and especially this one over here has even more than the other two. So we're looking forward to harvesting elderberry later on in the season. We've planted basil in as many pots as possible. Here where we had the rhubarb growing, and we have some basil seedlings just beginning to sprout. And earlier this evening, well, actually this morning for breakfast, we were playing Scrabble out here on the patio. It was just very cool. Dad had been weeding the garden, and so it was nice to come out and just have a leisurely breakfast, since I am on summer vacation and Dad is officially retired. It's just nice to not hurry in the morning. What you can see here in our pots are transplants of a combination of raspberry and raspberry and blackberry. And again, they've done quite well with the move. We have hung our hammock, and again, it's just so comfortable, and the view of the sky and trees is just very, very nice. So let's go on out to the yard and see how our happy hens are doing. The garden with the 5 jujube trees I mentioned earlier are doing very well. The one in the center is probably about, I would say, easily 10 feet high. The wood Uncle Michael has described as ironwood. It's a very tough bark. It does have spines similar to the pyracantha. right in front of us, right here, there is about a 5.5-foot jujube tree. We've tried to clear a 2-foot circumference around each of the trees, so the sunflowers and Jerusalem artichokes don't bother them, but you can see that the growth of the sunflowers and Jerusalem artichokes is quite dense. Hopefully they'll be okay. But here we are. This is why we're out at this time of the evening. It looks like we have one of our hens, so that means 9 are roosting on their perch, but one of the Wyandottes has decided that she is happier meandering there at the base. I think she will probably fly up to the perch fairly shortly. Meanwhile, let me just take a look around. You can see the Jerusalem artichokes are really everywhere. We transplanted here in the flues more of the raspberries, and we have asparagus growing in our garden boxes. And but let's come on over here. These are the grapes that we planted last year. They're Thompson seedless green grapes and the Thompson red flame seedless grapes. And Dad just did a 3rd rung to the trellis here. This particular group of grapes only had 2 rungs, and so we did a 3rd to help spread the growth. And then over here, the newest grapes already have 3 rungs. When we planted them, we just established the trellises. Of the 36 tomato plants, the 9 different varieties, most are doing well. We've lost about 4 plants at this time for unknown reasons. Let me just get back to our perch again, because I just heard the last of our chickens take flight, and she is in the coop. So when we see Dan removing the perch to roll the perch around on its new 3-inch wheels, this is what the chickens look like, and they will stay here until dawn usually, and then they'll hop down and wander about. They do lay their eggs randomly in the grass. The grass is very dense and soft, and they seem to not mind that they don't have a nesting area with hay or a nesting box. But as you can see, they're very, very happy all together. 2 buff Orpingtons are on the other side. The white rocks, the 4 white rocks are right there. 5 white rocks actually. So that's nice to see. That's a first for us, filming them. And then let's just take a look at the garden. At this time, we do have some giant red amaranth that has really taken off. It's everywhere, but what we're trying to do is thin it out so the stalks grow strong, because what we found when the heavy rains and winds come in midsummer, if the stalks are not well rooted, they tend to tumble over. So there we see some of the giant red amaranth. And over here we have our 8 globe artichokes. This is a first for us. The Jerusalem artichokes we're very familiar with, but these are our globe artichokes. And the globe artichokes apparently will be able to split the stalks the next season and spread them around. And what we're trying to do is cultivate as many different varieties of fruits and vegetables so we can use our garden as a source of organic foods. You can't see the 5 asparagus plants, but they're right in this area. They're about a foot tall or so. We have some different greens and beans growing in this area, along with a golden amaranth. Here is a stand of Jerusalem artichokes that we thought we had cleared, but as you can see, they came back. The corn is all an organic variety, so it's going to be nice to see how it does. I'm going to walk over to the garden that Dad has called the boot, just because of its shape, but we'll come on over, and might be a little bit dark in this area. So there's the garden from this angle, and the grapes along the banco and trellis. Let's take a look at the boot garden. We have okra coming up and golden amaranth. There's fennel and tomatillos. And Dan was thinking that we could place our new weeder aerator design somewhere in this area so the chickens could thin the red amaranth that's come up and just work on the weeds. We're seeing the Jerusalem artichokes that have sprung up in the ditch that we had dug a couple of years ago. We thought this would be a great source of water, and sure enough, it's a great source of water for the Jerusalem artichokes, but they have really proliferated. Here is a blackberry bush, and again here we have 3 rungs on the trellis, so that can carry the weight of the berries. We were trying some of the blackberries on this bush this morning, and they were a little tart, but definitely very flavorful, and so that was a wonderful surprise. Here's our century pear, and it's doing well. Again, here's more raspberries and blackberries. We want to transplant more of the runners that seem to be sprouting up around the mother plant, so we'll be working on that. Here's Stephen's kefir tree, and it does have pears and is doing well. Over here we have Mom's viola, this blackberry bush. This was a gift from Tammy and very thoughtfully given from her family. We transplanted another blackberry bush so it has company. So you can see the Jonathan apple tree does not have very many apples, nor does the Golden Delicious, but we have managed to pick most of the Stella cherries, and they have been wonderful. We didn't bake anything with them, but we did eat them fresh. So this is another view of our garden from this vantage point. You can see our portable chicken coop. We'll probably be moving it tomorrow. They've been there for, well, since yesterday, and so we usually like to move it every couple of days. The hens seem to really enjoy having the fresh grass, and you can see that they are still roosting, So we'll kind of sneak up from this angle and take a look. So there they are, the white rocks and buff Orpingtons, the Wyandottes, all sleeping very, very comfortably. They don't have to worry about hawks or coyotes. The coop is completely sealed, and so I think that that's nice. We do have skunks that come in from the ditch, or maybe a coyote, which we have not seen for a long time, but coyotes are a possibility. But they really can't get to our hens this way because they're thoroughly protected in their structure. So that's about it. Early summer, and we think of all of you. Hope you are well, and take the best care. Happy growing.